Welcome to the Shutter Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Eli Pearl, and today I'm joined by Cam Sterling and Finn Noel. On today's episode, we'll be recapping the NBA Conference Finals while also going over our finals predictions. Before we start, we want to remind you again that everything we say is our opinions. However, whether you agree or disagree, we invite you to join the discussion on Instagram at Shutter Sports Media or Twitter at Shutter Sports M.
From the little leagues
to the pros.
This is your weekly sports show.
Welcome to the Shutter Sports Podcast.
Take a seat at the table as we discuss.
So quickly, boys, let's first go over what happened in the conference finals. So we'll start with Timberwolves Mavericks, and I'll throw things over to you, Finn.
Right on. Well, I have to say that this series, or at least the outcome of this series, surprised me a lot. Going into this, and I think in our last podcast, I had the Timberwolves taking this in 5 or 6 games, and I just thought, I don't know, it was sort of an offense-defense matchup. Timberwolves had been so solid defensively, of course, in the first 2 rounds, and the Mavericks are just really hard to stop, of course, with their 2 stars when they're hot. And in my opinion, I thought that because of what the Timberwolves have done in the first 2 rounds, that they were going to take this series quite easily. But it ended up being the opposite. I guess good offense beats good defense because Dallas was just looking dominant, offensively. Surprising, but it's interesting to see Dallas in the finals.
Yeah, Luka and Kyrie were just incredible to watch that series. It felt like if they needed a bucket, they were going to go get that bucket right away. Kyrie, for how much I hate him as a human being, he's so much just fun to watch and play basketball because he does things and you're like, that shouldn't be possible. Like anything he does around the rim is just beautiful to watch. He also had some really nice 3-point shooting in some of the games. I don't know. I just felt like he was making space for himself really well. But about the series as a whole, I think Jokic ended up saying it the best with that the Timberwolves were designed to beat the Nuggets. And clearly they weren't designed to beat the Mavericks because it was not the Timberwolves series. I was surprised they even got one win off of that at the end of the day.
Yeah, Timberwolves are just they're so solid defensively, and I guess that was the recipe to beat Jokic. They had the size and they had the length, and I don't know, maybe that's a team that Denver's never dealt with before. Well, it's interesting at least that we have Dallas in the finals, and that it was a Dallas Timberwolves conference finals because I think most people were expecting it to be Denver and Boston matching up in the finals. So, even if Minnesota isn't the powerhouse team that's beating the former champions that we all thought that they were, it's cool that there's a different team than Denver nonetheless.
So I think we'll move over to the East now. I think we've said our piece about the West, and to another series that wasn't particularly great to watch, except for maybe that first game there with Celtics and Pacers.
I feel like this series was a lot closer than the 4-0 showed. 2 of the games came down to 1 possession, and Indiana had some game-costing mistakes in Game 1 and I believe Game 3. So this series could have easily gone to 6 or 7, and Indiana just did not have the experience to win playoff games in the clutch. And obviously Boston has, being to the Eastern Conference Finals, 5 years in a row now? So they have experience in those type of games, and they have decisions that they want to make and they try to make in that time in the game. And Indiana just hasn't been through that, and they don't know how to approach that. So, like I said, it was definitely closer than the 4-0 series shows, but Boston took care of Indiana.
Yeah, you bring up a good point there. Game 1 should have been the Pacers games. They threw the ball, they gave that game to the Celtics pretty much. You saw late turnovers from Halliburton. LeBron was arguing Siakam's defense with that Jaylen Brown 3 and whether or not he should have fouled or not. I don't know. I thought Siakam did the right thing in that situation, but if LeBron's saying he should have fouled a little earlier, maybe he should have fouled a little earlier. But the Celtics, the Celtics owned that series in the end. Even if the Pacers had chance at winning games, I feel like the Celtics, when they needed a shot, went out and got the shot.
Yeah, and honestly, I think I shot out a tweet about this, but it felt like the series could have been 3-1 after the four games. But like I don't know. If you were to look at the series as a whole, it didn't feel like Indiana was really, I don't know, even though they were in the lead for like a lot of these games, they weren't really in the lead because you could tell Boston was going to creep back. And like you guys mentioned, all the games were super close. So like I said, the games could have like it could have been 3-1 after four games. But even though Indiana had leads for most of the games, you were just waiting to see when Boston was going to take the lead back. It wasn't a matter of if they were going to take the lead back. It was just sort of, can the Pacers hold them off long enough? Is how it felt, at least for games 3 and 4, to me. Um, and that's just a great sign of maturity from Boston. Really, is they've been there before. They know that teams go on hot shooting streaks. Sorry, like Miami did. And Indiana's of course a great offensive team. So they were just, they dealt with the hot streaks from Indiana, and they crept back slowly, and they didn't get themselves worried. And yeah, it was just a great sign of maturity from them, especially without Porzingis.
Yeah, I always seem to like obviously you don't see him on the court, but sometimes you just feel like Porzingis is out there. Like they didn't seem to have this break where they lost a key player to their team, and it just hasn't seemed to change one bit for them. Like they seem to still have their eye on the prize and are playing their game.
Yeah, they still look really, really dominant.
I saw a clip of him shooting around. Is he supposed to come back or he's out?
Yes, he's confirmed back for game one. So
Oh,
poor Dallas.
I could see that. I could see that also messing with Boston's chemistry, though, like gaining Porzingis back in game one. Like, I could see Dallas taking game one for that reason, and then the Celtics getting on a roll, maybe. But we'll see.
I mean, Dallas performed well with defending a stretch big when they faced Cat, so I feel like the way the Celtics are going to use Porzingis, Dallas could be able to defend them, and Gafford has been playing very well defensively, so I don't know. I think Dallas could maybe contain Porzingis in the way the Celtics are going to use them in their offense.
Yeah, you also saw another stretch big in their second round series against OKC. I know Holmgren had a decent series, but like they still have experience defending somebody like that. So Porzingis will still be good defensively. Like he's going to be much better guarding the pick and roll than Al Horford
of course.
will be. But yeah, offensively, I don't know. I think Dallas definitely has the experience to deal with that.
So we've already kind of segued into it, but just for like purposes of the podcast, let's move on to our finals matchup. Obviously, it's Mavericks versus Celtics. And let's start off by just going over each of our predictions for the series as a whole.
Here, I'll start here. I'm gonna go Celtics in 5. Unfortunately for Dallas fans, I think Boston is too good of a team, and I know it sort of seems like we're just repeating ourselves over and over again in all these prediction videos, but Boston's too good of a team. They're gonna like run over whatever's in their way. Yeah, I had the Celtics going in 5. Like you said there, Eli, I'm sure maybe Porzingis coming back will mess up their chemistry, or Dallas will get really, really hot for one game, but at the end of the day, the Celtics have shown that they can deal with adversity, and they're just gonna win at the end of the day.
I am actually going to go with Dallas in 6. And because Dallas will not let Boston have a Game 7 at TD Garden, because if this series does go to 7, I think home court will win it in 7. And I could see Luka and Kyrie shoving those points down Boston's throat, and I feel like they can penetrate their defense unlike any other offensive threat in the league. I think having two players that are that skilled, like Kyrie and Luka, we saw them break down arguably the best defense in the league in the Clippers. We saw them break down the best team in the West in OKC, and they broke down one of the the second best defensive team in the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I'm not a huge Boston fan to begin with, so it might be coming out biasly, but I don't know. I want to see Luka win. It's been a long time coming for him to be in this position, and we haven't seen him play in a playoff finals, and he's known to be one of the coldest players in the league, and I think this is the exact environment where he will shine.
Yeah, we'll see if the 2011 finals have a little bit of a repeat this year.
Yeah, I could definitely see it.
Um, I've brought it up on the podcast. I've said it for a while where years ago, I had the prediction that Tatum doesn't get his championship with the Celtics. He has to leave to go get his first ring. But I just don't see it happening at this point. I'm going to go with Celtics in 6. I think the Mavs are going to knock that first game off. I think Porzingis coming back will throw off the Celtics just enough for the Mavs to take the win. But then I don't see the Celtics being able to win 4 in a row. I think the Mavs knock off another one somewhere in there. I think winning 4 in a row in the finals is extremely difficult. So I think Celtics in 6 is where I'm at right now. As much as I hate to say it, I don't particularly like Jaylen Brown. I can tolerate Jason Tatum, and just Celtics culture as a whole is kind of hard to root for. But they're just way too good of a team.
Cam, I heard you mention there that you think Dallas is going to be picking apart Boston's defense, but I actually have to disagree. The thing that I noticed, like when thinking about how these two teams compare to each other, is that Boston's defense kind of matches up perfectly to Dallas's stars. Like you have Drew Holiday and Derek White, both all defensive players, and they've shown the ability to guard star guards like many years and years in the past. And of course, the pick and roll will be probably the way that Dallas tries to score the most. But again, they have Porzingis running the pick and roll, who's shown to be a great defensive player throughout his career, and they have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown still on the wings, who can probably help out off that PJ Washington, that Tim Hardaway, the Josh Greens of the world. I don't know. I think that they just match up so well for what Dallas has to bring. Um, that the I don't know. I don't know if the Mavericks are going to have as easy of a time scoring as they did in their past series.
Yeah, I kind of think this is hypothetical, but if the Knicks made it towards a Boston series, I feel like the Mavericks are going to approach this series from the same skill level as the Knicks have, with a lot of rebounding upside and a lot of pick and roll upside that they will use against Boston. So I just feel like the Dallas big men are playing at a very high level right now. And although Porzingis is a great defender and a great shooter, his rebounding is not where it used to be. And he's been too injured over the past few years to really box out pure bigs like Gafford and Lively, who are literally playing at the top level they've played at throughout the entire season. So I want to see Boston win. I mean, I want to see Dallas win, and I don't know what else to say. I think Luka and Kyrie are just way too skilled to be shut down in 5 or 6. If Boston does win, I do think they win at home in 7 games, but I think Dallas closes it out in 6 at home.
I think everybody in the little Shutter Sport world we have wants to see Dallas win, except for Austin Terry.
Yeah.
Except for Austin Terry. We kind of touched upon it a little there, but I think it's important that we each go over our key players for this series. I'll kick things off this time. I think Drew Holiday is going to be one of the big difference makers in this series. I think if you have such a purely defensive focused guard like him, either shutting down Luka or shutting down Kyrie, I think Dallas loses a good amount of their credibility. I think it's when both of those two guys are on that they have the best shot at winning a game, and I just see Drew Holiday being able to hold them to, it seems weird to say, but under 30 for sure, hopefully under 25, 20. And I think that's going to be a huge difference maker if those guys can't go get the shot when they need it to happen.
My question is, I'm not sure which of the two guards for Boston is going to be guarding Luka, because I know Drew Holiday is a bit stronger, so maybe that would make sense. But Derek White has amazing hands, and I don't know, I think that he has success guarding people driving to the lane a lot more. He's very good at stripping. So if that's the case, then they might yeah
Stripping.
they might throw him on Luka just to see what happens. But I don't know. Yeah, Luka's a great foul drawer. Like I know people can't see this, but Eli just did a little James Harden motion there. Uh, yeah, Luka's great at drawing fouls, so maybe that won't work. But
Yeah, I could see a lot of switching between White and Drew onto Luka and Kyrie, depending how they're playing each game. But yeah, I think I have two key players on the Mavericks specifically. Josh Green is going to be one of them because I think he's going to be the primary defender that they put on Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, just like Luka and Kyrie, depending on who is playing well that game. I think he's going to be their number one guy on defense. And the other one is going to be Daniel Gafford because he needs to play very well against Kristaps, and he needs to shut down Kristaps as a threat offensively and be able to penetrate the defense on pick and rolls offensively. And I think they're two underwatched roster members on the Dallas Mavericks, and they're going to be the keys to them winning because Dallas's depth needs to take advantage just like they did against Minnesota.
Josh Green hasn't had a great playoff so far, but I think if there's a time for him to step it up and have that hero moment, it's definitely this series because he's shown he's been a great defender since college,
Yeah.
and he can hit the three ball for sure. So I don't know if he manages to not shut down, of course, because you can't shut these players down, but if he manages to at least slow down Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, then that definitely dims the Celtics' chances.
He's a key player, man. What he plays good or he plays bad.
There's always that one player that kind of comes not quite out of left field, but like has been there the playoffs. Maybe he hasn't played the greatest, but he's always somewhat of a key factor who really puts it on in the finals. So maybe your prediction's right there, Cam.
I got a hot take for that as well. I could see Jaden Hardy going off offensively with Drew Holiday and Derek White clamping Luka and Kyrie. I could see them running 3 scoring threats. And who knows? I could see Jaden Hardy having a couple 20-point performances.
That is a take right there. I'd love to hear it.
Yep. He's a very underrated scorer. He's a hot box scorer off the bench for them. I mean, I could see it.
Do you want to put some money where your mouth is there, Cam?
I'll put a couple bucks on, say, two 18-point games from Jaden Hardy.
I'm thinking, let's do like a whipped cream to the face. Since here on Shutter Sport Podcast, we do not condone. I personally don't. Like,
don't
sport
condone
gambling is
sport
fun
betting.
and all, but it is a true issue.
Not
so let's
John
do
T.
it with
Porter
a little.
here.
So you want to say 2 18-point games?
2 18-point games from Jaden Hardy.
Yeah, okay, so if he doesn't do that, we'll see a video of whipped cream. Finn, you have to hold us to this. You'll be the reminder. If we don't,
I'm the witness.
If we see that,
I got one going for NFL and NBA now.
If we see that, I'll take a whipped cream to the face. Do you want to do it as well, Finn?
I'm interested. I don't have any,
you got a hot take player that you want to take a pie to the face for? Maybe like a Luke Cornett 30-point game.
You know what? As you were talking about defense, I was thinking about how Luke Cornett could fit into Boston here, because they need size for rebounding, like you mentioned, and he's a much better rebounder than Al Horford or Porzingis. So I was wondering if he was going to get any minutes.
I've always wondered why Boston plays Al Horford over Luke Cornett. I never understood it.
It's probably just the shooting. It's the only thing that I can
just
think of.
experience.
Yeah. But you know what? Sure.
Horford does have a lot of experience in these sort of situations, I feel like.
Yeah, he's been to he was in several Eastern Conference Finals games. Yeah,
he's been around the block.
It's felt like Al Horford's been 35 for about 6 years now.
Yeah. Well, he plays like he's 40.
You know what? Sure, I'll not to bet, but I'll take a pie in the face if Luke Cornett doesn't have a. Oh, I don't want to go high. I was gonna say 10 points, but as I was about to say 10 points, that felt like
10,
my
10
whole
point game.
body and brain said no. So I'm gonna say if Luke Cornett has an
I
8-point performance or higher, then I'm okay. But if he doesn't have one of those in the series, I'll take some whipped cream.
So Cam, our line is 2 18-point games
Okay.
from oh my, Jaden Hardy. Well,
Yep. Jaden Hardy.
it's gonna be fun to watch, and it will give content for the Shutter Sports story or a post even.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Shutter Sports fans will have to wait like 2 months for that pie in the face until we get back to campus. But
Oh, I'm
hey, it'll
saying
be
we
worth
have
it.
like a family member do it or something. Like the video goes out like
Yeah.
I think like the day after Game 7 or day after the series ends, I guess.
You don't want the satisfaction of getting throwing the pie yourself?
We have enough of these little things going that eventually we'll see each other behind each other in the faces. I mean, I don't even remember. I don't know F1 at all. I have something going with Austin and Milos just to spice things up.
I got the Bengals making the AFC Championship and the NFL one.
Okay.
Oh shoot, I didn't even say my key. I didn't even say my key player. Other than Luke Cornett, of course. I was gonna say my key player is Derek Lively, which is kind of in the same reign as what Cam was saying with Gafford. But Lively has just made, I think, more of an impact. At least in that Minnesota series, he made more of an impact for the Mavericks. Just because his height, his efficiency, he can rebound the ball for sure, and that is something that's going to be huge against Boston. And again, guarding Kristaps Porzingis, he's got the height and he's got the wingspan to match up with that. So if he can be efficient, score like 10, 15 a game and rebound and defend well, then I think it's going to be huge for Dallas. Like he's that, not that third star, but that third solid piece that's going to be consistently putting up numbers for them.
Yeah, I agree with that prediction. Like sort of like key factor in Lively. Because as I said with Drew Holiday and as you said with of course Derek White on the floor, Luka and Kyrie aren't each going to be dropping 30 points a game. If they do, the Celtics are done for. Let's move on now to our Finals MVP predictions, and we'll go one from each team. You want to start things off, Cam?
Yeah, I'd love to. I think for the Mavs, it's going to be Luka. He's just too well rounded and too much of a stat filler for it to be anybody else. So, but for the Celtics, I am actually going to go Jaylen Brown, and I think he's gonna outscore Tatum. I think he's gonna outperform Tatum, and he's gonna have a bigger impact defensively than Tatum. And I don't know, the vote might be biased and it might go to Tatum. I could obviously see that, but Jaylen Brown is a scorer that shines in tough moments, and he's had a lot of playoff moments deep in the playoffs in his career, so I'm going to go Jaylen Brown.
Over to you, Finn.
Well, I can see what Cam's saying for sure, but I actually have it swapped. So I think that if the Mavs were to win, then it would be Kyrie Irving. I think he has the playoff experience, and NBA likes to push narratives. Let's all be honest here. And Kyrie, he's made the finals before. There's all this stuff going around about how like he misses LeBron and how LeBron's so proud of him for making the finals. And I can absolutely see him like playing well, having multiple high scoring games if Luke is off. And if that happens and the Mavericks end up winning the series, I think they could give it to Kyrie. But on the Celtics side, Jaylen Brown already won the conference finals MVP, and I don't think the NBA is going to go a whole two series. Like, I don't think they're going to rob Jason Tatum of two awards. Not saying that he was robbed in that Eastern Conference Finals MVP, but he's the best player on their team, and I don't think they're going to not give him two awards in a row.
Yeah, I'm very obviously we're all gonna have similar predictions. There's pretty much two guys on each team that are bound to win it, unless something miraculous happens. I'm with Finn more so though. I think Kyrie is gonna come out playing well. He's been to the finals before. He plays well on the big stage, and I think he's gonna have some clutch moments. This finals that if the Mavericks were to win, it would go to Kyrie. And on for the Celtics. As much as I agree with you, Finn, about like them not letting Brown win it twice in a row and giving one to Tatum, I just see Brown coming up more clutch in the final seconds of a game. I think when they need a shot from deep, if they're down, I think it comes out of Brown's hands. And I think for that reason, he's most likely going to win the Finals MVP.
If I will say, if the Celtics do win, I could definitely see Drew Holiday being in the conversation as well. Depending on how, if the Celtics win, he obviously would have a great defensive performance throughout the entire series, and I could see him averaging maybe 21 and 10 even. So I could definitely see him in the conversation.
That'd be sort of like an Andre Iguodala Finals MVP.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Because he has the championship experience that Kyrie has as well.
True.
And he knows how to win while being like the second and third star on the team. So
that's a great point.
I could see it.
About his
I could see it.
Experience in these games really matters, and that's a great take, Cam.
Yeah, I gotta agree.
Yeah, I mean, like I was going over the NHL, and like experience in that type of game isn't incredibly valuable just because you have to have such a deep team in that type of game, but NBA it really matters, and having a locker room piece to amp the guys up in that type of game, and Drew Holiday being an all-time great teammate and him being known for that, I could see him get winning the Finals MVP definitely.
We'll see it. We'll see if it repeats like 2011 does, where the young European takes on the Boston super team.
Yep.
No, it's going to be an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, I think that Dallas probably isn't going to have as many chances to do this as Boston is. It just, if you look at the way that their teams are made up, Dallas has Luka and Kyrie, but they've shown that they're not great at building a team around Luka Doncic, and who knows how long Kyrie's going to stay there. Boston has had this team built, and they look like they're there to stay, at least until Holiday ends up retiring. So it would be cool for Dallas to win, because I think that their chances at a championship in the next 10 years are going to be much less than Boston will. I'm sure Boston's going to win one eventually, if not this time.
I don't know how long Boston will keep this roster together if they lose. If they keep making this deep, keep making it this deep in the playoffs and coming up short every time, they're going to have to switch something up sometime. And I wonder how long it will take them to make a change if they keep losing in the playoffs. So, if they do win and keep this core together, I could see them being a dynasty for years to come. But if they keep on losing this deep in the playoffs, they're gonna have to make a move, whether that's a big move or not.
I think this year was their move in adding Porzingis,
and they also got Holiday.
Yeah. But Holiday's I forget Holiday's a new addition. I imagine Holiday in that kind of green and white colors, and it all sort of melds together. Do we have any final thoughts? How would we like to wrap things up?
I'm sure everyone's cheering for the Mavericks. I guess that's a go Mavericks from all of us, I guess.
I just checked Jaden Hardy's overall playoff stats, and it looks like I'm getting a pie to the face. So. He averaged around 14 points this season, but I mean, if Luka and Kyrie are locked up, he could get some microwave scoring going.
You know what? I'll say quickly, let's just hold our fingers up high for Austin Terry. I hate his Celtics so much. so much. As much as I want to see Austin happy, I do not want to see him happy with the Celtics having rings on their fingers.
Yeah.
I like the Celtics better than the 76ers, so I'll give them that.
I think the 76ers might even be a more likable team right now.
I hate them.
I like Maxey.
Maxey is the only thing making that team likable.
Embiid is I don't know. At least we're all from Toronto, so I'm sure his all those series against the Raptors is just making everybody hate him even more. I don't know. He's great. He's not necessarily entertaining to watch.
He's phenomenal, but I hate that he gets 25 free throws a game. He's like 7 foot, 275 pounds, and he's flopping from a foul from Fred Van Vliet, you know? I mean, he should not be getting those.
Oh. Where has this conversation gone to?
Yep.
Okay, guys, thank you for joining us on the Shutter Sports Podcast. There I am again with the fish. Thank you again for joining us on the Shutter Sports Podcast. Be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you find your podcasts, and don't be shy to join the discussion on any platform at Shutter Sports Media. Until next time, I'm your host, Eli Pearl, joined by Cam Sterling and our little basketball resident, Finn Noel. And this has been the Shutter Sports Podcast.